You're just the man who pays the bills. Not my dad. My stepson spat during dinner. His mom didn't defend me. She just said, he's old enough to say the truth. I finished my meal in silence, took my jacket, and left. That was 3 weeks ago. Now they're both blowing up my phone, but I'm not answering. It happened on a Tuesday. Not that the day matters, really, but I remember it clearly because I'd just gotten back from the hardware store with a bag of mulch and new bulbs for the porch light. Small, stupid chores. The kind of tasks that tether you to a house, to a life. I'd made pot roast. Took me 5 hours. I followed my mom's old recipe. Even used her trick of slipping in a splash of red wine and letting the onions caramelize until the whole place smelled like something sacred. It was Ethan's favorite, at least I thought it was. Maybe that was 5 versions of him ago. We sat down like any other night. Plates passed, phones put away at my request. I asked about school. He grunted. She asked if I'd called the roofer. I said yes. It should have been nothing. Routine. Quiet. Then it wasn't. Out of nowhere, he slammed his fork down and said it. Just like that. You're not my dad. You're just the man who pays the bills. The silence that followed stretched thinner than glass. I looked at him, then at her. She didn't flinch. Didn't raise her voice or give him that warning look she used to when he was younger and mouthy. She didn't even ask him to apologize. Instead, she said, calm, deliberate, not looking up from her plate. He's old enough to say the truth. I didn't yell. I didn't push my chair back in a dramatic scene. I chewed another bite, swallowed, and said nothing. The kind of silence that has weight to it, that says everything your voice won't. I waited until I was done, stood up, took my jacket, walked out. That was 3 weeks ago. They've been calling ever since. At first every couple of days, then daily. Now, dozens of texts, missed calls, voicemails. She even tried emailing me. Subject line, please talk to us. I haven't responded to a single one. I met her when Ethan was 9. A wiry, angry kid with a bowl cut and a habit of scowling at the ground. His dad had left the year before, moved to Arizona with a woman he met through a startup. I never knew the full story. I never asked. I figured when he was ready, he'd tell me. He never did. What I did know was this. I loved his mother. And I wanted to be someone Ethan could count on. So I tried. God, did I try. I coached his little league team even though I'd never held a bat until my 20s. I drove him to chess club and guitar lessons. I paid for braces, a new bed when he outgrew his old one, therapy when he started picking fights at school. I showed up. That's the part that hurts the most. Not the words. Not even her indifference. It's that I showed up every day. And somehow it never mattered. The older he got, the more the gap between us widened. Subtle at first. Eye rolls, sarcasm, cold shoulders. I told myself it was just teenage stuff. Hormones. Identity. The natural rebellion of someone trying to figure himself out. But there was something more to it. Something coiled beneath the surface. A quiet bitterness I never quite understood. I started noticing things. How he only said thank you when she prompted him. How he'd introduce me to his friends with my first name, never stepdad. How she'd let him, smiling like it was cute. Once I heard him call me the finance guy on the phone with his dad. She laughed. I didn't say anything then either. I told myself not to take it personally. That I wasn't here for titles or gratitude. I was here because I loved them. Because family isn't built on blood but on the choices we make. But you can only pour so much of yourself into a glass that refuses to hold anything. After I left that night, I drove with no destination. I ended up at a diner 20 miles north. The kind with vinyl booths and burnt coffee and a waitress named Dee who didn't ask questions. I sat there until 2 a.m., drinking cup after cup of black coffee and watching the rain smear the world outside the window. I checked my phone. A single message from her. We need to talk. I put the phone down and slid it across the table. When I finally got back in the car, I didn't go home. I went to a motel near the lake. Weekly rate. No questions. Just a key and a bed and a silence that felt like oxygen for the first time in years. And that's where I've been. Working remotely. Walking along the shoreline. Cooking for one. Thinking. They still don't get it. She's left a dozen voicemails. Most of them emotional. A few angry. One started with, I can't believe you'd abandon us like this. That word, abandon, hit harder than anything Ethan said. I didn't abandon them. I just finally accepted I was never really invited in. She let me carry the weight of a husband without the honor. Let me stand in the space a father once filled, without the respect. She let him treat me like a stranger at my own dinner table, and then defended it as truth. If the truth is that I was only ever the one who paid the bills, kept the lights on, fixed the leaks, and made the pot roast, then maybe the truth is that I was never really part of the family. Just a service. A silent utility. I'm not angry. I'm just done. I saw Ethan last week. Not intentionally. I was at the grocery store 2 towns over. Had a cart full of basics, instant rice, canned soup, a frozen pizza. He passed me in the cereal aisle. Didn't notice me at first. But I noticed him. He was with a friend. Laughing. Carefree. Then he turned, locked eyes with me. His face faltered. Just for a second. I gave him a nod. Nothing more. Just acknowledgement. Like you'd give to someone you used to know in another life. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. I don't know what she tells people. Maybe that I cracked under pressure. Maybe that I was always distant. That I couldn't handle being a stepfather. She can say what she wants. The truth is, I was there. I showed up. I paid the bills, yes. But I also packed the lunches, picked up the socks, sat through the parent-teacher conferences and the birthday parties and the 1,000 little moments that make up a life. And now I sit on the edge of something unfamiliar. Freedom? Loneliness? Maybe both. But I know this. I won't return to a table where I'm just the one who foots the check. Not when I've been serving love this whole time, and all I got was silence and a smirk. I don't know where I'm going. But I know I'm not staying where I'm not wanted. Update 1. I didn't think they'd last this long without me. Not in a bitter way. Just practically speaking. There are bills due on the 15th. The gutters haven't been cleared. The back fence was leaning the last time I walked past it. And winter's been cruel this year. Like it's trying to knock things down faster than I can ignore them. 3 weeks and a day since I left. I've watched the calls change. At first, they were frantic. Missed calls stacked like dominoes. Voicemails full of panic and anger braided together. Her voice swinging between apologies and accusations. You're overreacting. He's just a kid. We need to talk. Please come home. I can't believe you'd do this to us. That one stuck in my chest a little. To us. As if my absence was the betrayal, and not the quiet humiliation at our dinner table. But now the tone has changed. It's not just her calling. It's Ethan's school. The insurance agent. The landlord. Even her sister, who's never liked me much, left a message saying, whatever this is, fix it. He needs you. He, not her, not they, just he. That was the first time I realized what my absence really meant to them. They weren't missing me. They were missing the role I played. I checked the house account this morning. Old habit. Everything still running, electric, gas, internet. I left more than enough in there before I walked out. I didn't turn anything off. Not out of kindness. Not out of guilt. Out of curiosity. What would happen when the slow drip of convenience dried up? Turns out not much. She's been transferring money in finally. A few hundred here, a few hundred there. Probably scraping by on her salary alone now. I know she makes less than I do. Not because she's incompetent. She's actually good at what she does. But she works part-time so she can focus on Ethan. Funny thing is, focusing on Ethan mostly meant me picking up the slack. Grocery runs, parent emails, doctor appointments, the things that make a kid's world keep spinning, even when they're busy pretending you're not part of it. A friend of mine, Tarek, reached out last night. We haven't talked in months. He's the kind of guy who calls you brother and means it. He said he saw her at the mechanics, trying to negotiate down a tire replacement. She looked stressed. Not angry, not defiant, just lost. He didn't speak to her, didn't want to start anything. But before we hung up, he said something that stuck. Some people don't realize what you were carrying until it lands on them. And when it does, they'll say you dropped it. I think he's right. I'm still at the motel by the lake. Room 16. Smells like coffee grounds and wood polish now. I bought a candle, and the clerk leaves a fresh pot going all day. I started talking to her. Her name's Marion. She's got 3 sons, all grown. One's a teacher. One's in the army. One's, her words, still finding himself. She told me, some boys spit at the people who raise them. It's not personal. It's cowardice they don't know how to name. I didn't respond. Just nodded and handed her a 20 for next week's rent. Last night, I listened to one of Ethan's voicemails. Just one. It was short, awkward. He didn't call me dad, or even my name. Just said, hey. Can you come home or whatever? Mom's freaking out and the basement light is acting weird. I think the switch is busted. That was it. No apology. No recognition of what happened. No acknowledgement that he'd cut me off at the knees in front of the woman I built a life around. Just a broken light and a come fix it. I didn't respond. Today I went by the house. Not inside, just drove by. Parked across the street for 10 minutes. Watched the lights flicker on and off. A shadow passed the kitchen window. She was pacing. Then the porch light blinked once. Then out completely. Guess the switch is busted. I sat there a little longer, watching the place I thought was home dissolve into something that felt foreign. The shutters are sagging. The lawn's half frozen. No laughter. No warmth. Just walls and problems. And for the first time, it felt like someone else's problem. Marion asked me today if I was planning to go back. I told her I didn't know. It's not just about the words Ethan said. It's about the fact that when he said them, she didn't flinch. Didn't push back. Didn't say, "That's not fair." Or, "He's done more for you than anyone." She didn't even blink. She set her fork down like she'd been waiting for it. Like maybe she agreed. That silence? Still ringing. And honestly, I don't know how you walk back into a place where your presence was met with apathy and a plate of pot roast gone cold. I haven't blocked their numbers. Not yet. There's a part of me, small and tired, that still wants to believe someone might call, not to demand I fix something, not to guilt me back into place, but to just say, "I'm sorry. I was wrong." But that call hasn't come. Not from her. Not from him. So I wait. Not for them, but for myself, to be sure I won't make the same mistake twice. Because I'm not looking for a return. I'm looking for something that matters. And maybe, just maybe, that's not something I'll find in the house I built for other people's comfort. Update 2. The text came in 3 days ago. From her. Ethan wants to apologize. We both do. Can we talk? Just one dinner. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't trust the tone. It was too polished. Like someone had told her what to say. I waited 6 hours. Then I replied, "Fine. Sunday, 7 p.m. Your house. Not ours. Yours." I arrived at 6:58. Not a second early. Not a second late. The porch light was still broken. The gutter was now half detached, swinging like a loose tooth. Something about that made me smile. She answered the door with a soft smile I didn't recognize. Like she was auditioning for a commercial about forgiveness. Ethan was already at the table. Hood up. No eye contact. I sat down. Folded my hands. The table was set like we were about to pretend none of it ever happened. Roast chicken. Mashed potatoes. Store-bought, I could tell. She never learned how to make them right. I always did the potatoes. She cleared her throat. "Thank you for coming. This means a lot." I nodded. Said nothing. Ethan spoke next. I shouldn't have said what I said. Still no eye contact. "Which part?" I asked quietly. He blinked. "What? Which part shouldn't you have said? That I'm not your dad? That I'm just the guy who pays the bills? Or the part where your mother backed you up like it was scripture?" Silence. She jumped in. "Look, we all said things we didn't mean. But this family." "There is no family," I said. Just like that. Calm. Final. "You made that clear the moment you decided my worth was measured in utility, not care. And I nodded at Ethan, chose to treat me like a stranger holding a receipt." Ethan finally looked up. "So what? You're gonna abandon us because I was a jerk one time?" I smiled. "No. I left because your mother agreed with you." She flinched just slightly. "I didn't say I agreed. You didn't disagree," I said. "And when a house catches fire, it's not just the match that's to blame. It's the silence that lets it burn." I stood up. Ethan scoffed. "So what? You're just never coming back?" "That depends," I said, "on whether you want a father, or just someone to fix the porch and keep the fridge full." I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out an envelope, set it on the table. "What's that?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "My resignation." Inside was a folder of receipts, 3 years of expenses I'd covered. Braces, guitar lessons, his laptop, utility bills, emergency dentist visit. Everything. "I'm not asking for it back," I said. "I'm just reminding you what it costs to be invisible." She reached for the envelope. I placed a hand over it. "One more thing." She looked up. "I spoke to Ethan's father last week." That landed like a punch. Her face went pale. "You what?" I told him I'm stepping back, that he should consider stepping up. At least financially. He won't, she snapped. He's a flake. He always has been. Maybe, I said. But that's not my problem anymore. She tried to hold my gaze. Failed. I gave you 100 chances to treat me like more than an appliance with a paycheck, I said. You didn't take any of them. This dinner doesn't change that. I turned to Ethan. I cared about you. I still do in some strange, broken way. But love without respect is just servitude. And I'm done serving people who don't see me. He opened his mouth. Closed it. I walked to the door. Before I stepped out, I paused. Oh, and the porch light? It's not the switch. It's the wiring. Probably needs a full replacement. Better get someone who knows what they're doing. I left the door open behind me. Let the cold walk in. Let the truth sit down at that table and eat what I wouldn't. That was yesterday. This morning, she texted. You didn't have to be cruel. No, I didn't. But sometimes, cruelty is just the echo of honesty in a room where people have been lying for too long. I didn't block her. Or Ethan. Not yet. But I muted them both. Not out of pettiness. Out of peace. And when I got back to the motel, Marion was waiting with a mug of cocoa and a crossword puzzle she couldn't finish. Did you say what you needed to say? She asked. I thought about it. No, I said. But I said what they needed to hear. I'm packing up this week. Got a lead on a short-term lease across town. Nothing fancy. Just mine. There's no revenge in this situation. No dramatic collapse. Just a door that closed on me one too many times. And me finally choosing not to knock anymore. Ethan will remember what he said for a long time. But not as long as he'll remember how calmly I walked away.